Okay, so today was Samsung's Unpacked 2020. This is the event where they basically announce their new line of their S phones, their Galaxy S phones, and this year they announced their new Z Flip phone. Now, I'm going to start this video by letting you know I don't have any footage from the event. They put out a disclaimer at the beginning of their presentation saying that you weren't allowed to use any of their footage for your own personal use, and I didn't want to risk getting my video pulled. So we're just going to talk about it today. So let's jump in. They started off their announcement with their Z Flip phone. Now, this is their phone that's similar to the Motorola Razr, where it folds like a clamshell, so it folds from the top down to the bottom. And they tried to sell this phone and market it toward people who are fashion forward or trendsetters, in their words, a trailblazer. And I think that's just hilarious, really. It's a silly way to market a phone, I think. It feels like that they're trying to create a market for the phone, whereas they know people are not really in the market for a device like this necessarily. So they try to create a desire for the phone by making it for people who are a trailblazer. In other words, if you're not a forward-thinking trendsetter type of person, you won't have this phone. It's kind of silly, and it kind of seems a little degrading, honestly, to people who don't want the phone. So it's kind of a knock on their part. The presentation overall was kind of silly. They have no real use case to have the phone fold the way that it does. So they tried to create one where with the phone unfolded, so you have the phone folded upright, so you can unfold it, and the hinge is adjustable, so you can position it kind of like a laptop. So you can kind of open it up to your desired position, and you can set it down on a table and have it like that. And the top half can be your display, and the bottom half can be your kind of input method. So you could be watching YouTube on the top half and scrolling through comments on the bottom. You could use the hole punch camera that's in the display to take a selfie, and then you can use the bottom portion to swipe through your photographs. It's kind of silly, I think. Not really a real use case for that. And then they tried to say that it could be used as a tripod, so you have your own stand there built in. I appreciate them trying to come up with a new use case for a phone like this. However, I don't feel that it's really necessary, and you're not really gaining anything particularly from having a phone like this. They kind of were a little discreet with specs. They said it was it was a 6.7-inch screen. They said at the end that all of their displays were going to be 120 hertz refresh rate. I guess that's great. They tried to market it with some kind of new, like ultra thin glass versus having a plastic display like the Razr does. And that it was built for what I think they said 200,000 flips or folds. So in real world use, I mean, who knows how that really translates, but I think the Z Flip is going to be a flop. It's comparative to the Motorola Razr, like I've said. It comes in at a bit cheaper, I think $1,380, so just shy of $1,400. And the Razr, I think, was right at $1,500, so it's a bit cheaper there. That's really about it to say about the Z Flip. I know it's their hot new thing they're trying to push this year. They did say that the hinge mechanism has some kind of bristles in it that keep out dust. If you have to put bristles inside of your phone to make it work right, I think that that's a sign that you don't need to be developing a phone like that. And they said that this phone is going to be available in 3 colors, 2 really, because only one of the colors will be available in certain countries, but it is the the mirror purple, mirror black, and mirror gold. And I'm not a fan of the mirror finishes at all. I do not care for them. And they've also partnered up with Google in a lot of ways. And with the Galaxy phones and the Z Flip, you get YouTube Premium, which is nice, I guess. They're really pushing 5G hard in this 2020 event. Basically, it seemed like every few sentences or anytime they announced any kind of feature with the phone, they also mentioned that the 5G was going to really drive this feature home. So anyway, that's pretty much the Z Flip or Z Fold. Then they went on to their S20. Now, with the S20, they really only have one huge sell feature, and that is the camera improvements. And I think this is really pushing back on Apple with their new Pro model of their phone with all the cameras. And they kind of wanted to match them with that regard. And from what I could tell, the cameras do seem pretty nice, but they wanted to make a really big point of letting you know that the whole event was recorded with the S20 models of the phone. Until they mentioned that, I honestly didn't suspect it. I mean, I guess that was cool. So they had multiple S20 units on camera mounts and all these fixtures and boom lifts and all this stuff. I guess to show that it's capable and that they had a lot of trust in their device to do the live stream. Of course, I was watching the live stream and it seemed a bit fuzzy. I mean, it's a live stream, so it's kind of hard to really get a good sense of the camera quality. But it was cool that they recorded it with their device. So just to touch on the new S20, you're going to get just kind of the base models. You're going to get a 64 megapixel camera. They are introducing something called Space Zoom, which is another camera lens that allows up to 30 times zoom with that lens. Then they're really pushing for the AI integration with their camera. So, I mean, it's really kind of like Google Photos built into their camera. So you have kind of like an assistant. They're pushing a new feature also where you take a 10-second clip and the AI will analyze that clip. It uses all the cameras on the device when it's recording, and then the AI goes through that 10-second clip and selects the best frames for your image. It's called Single Take. That's the feature, and I guess that's neat. I feel like it's not something that a lot of people are going to use, but it could be useful. I mean, I get it. They're trying to push the new device. They're trying to push a new product. But really, I feel like that we're at a point where camera innovation is kind of topping out. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the camera, and the AI built in is not something that I find particularly useful, but maybe other people will. Now, also, with all the S20 models, they're going to be capable of 8K recording. And this is another thing where they're trying to push other products. So they mentioned that with the AI, you'll be able to record 8K, and they really push it for the IoT. You'll be able to push that 8K content to a 8K TV or share it with your friends. I don't think that there are very many 8K TVs available. And of course, Samsung wants you to buy their 8K TV. I have no idea how much they cost, but I'd be willing to say at this point that you're looking at thousands of dollars for one of their 8K TVs. And aside from the content that you're getting from your phone, that's about the only 8K content that you're going to be able to watch right now. Again, they're pushing 5G, saying with 5G, this is going to be possible because 5G is fast enough to handle this kind of resolution effortlessly. Now, I don't have 5G in my area, and I'd be willing to bet that almost no one does. So The 5G push is something I don't necessarily understand. Maybe in other countries where it's starting to be adopted more. But here in the U.S., there's only a select few cities that have 5G. And from what I understand, the 5G is not that great. So I really have a hard time understanding why they're pushing 5G so hard. Literally, almost every aspect of their announcement, 5G was mentioned. Now, another thing with the S20 is it's going to have up to 1.5 terabytes of storage if you use an SD card. So they didn't really specify like the built-in storage, what you're going to get. And they went on to mention the S20 Ultra. Now, this is basically the Pro model where you get a 108 megapixel camera. And then you have a bright night sensor. This seemed like it was a feature that was specifically for the Ultra model, where basically it's like a night mode. Then you get 10x optical with 10x digital zoom that allows you to go up to 100 times digital zoom. Now, with all these camera announcements, they kind of demoed them with some kind of hotshot photographer or cinematographer or something like that, and gave you a sense of what was possible with the phone. And I wasn't that impressed, honestly. The zoom was kind of cool. They did a demo of the Golden Gate Bridge where you could see Alcatraz, and they zoomed in on it with the phone. It was supposed to be a live feed or like a live stream. So it was like real time. Some YouTubers were zooming in on Alcatraz to show the capabilities. Looked pretty cool. I can't knock it too much on that. And of course, these are all demos, so real world experience is going to vary. They didn't really go into too much detail with the night sight kind of capabilities. And they went on to mention that with the camera, you're going to get some special software. It's basically Google Photos built in to Samsung's version of their software. So you're not really getting anything new with this phone that I can see. Then the next part of the announcement was how they teamed up or partnered up with Netflix. So if you're a Galaxy user, you're going to get special content via Netflix. So maybe certain shows, they're going to have the S20 and the creators or actors on the show are going to be recording like behind the scenes or something like that of the show. And the only way you get to see that is if you're a Galaxy user. So they're trying to find another reason for you to buy the phone. I feel like that they're aware that they're running out of options and desire for these new devices. So whenever you hit a hardware limit, you start looking to software and you find ways to create a desire for the phone. And I guess if you're a huge Netflix fan or if you have a special show that you're just like a diehard fan of, I know they mentioned Narcos more than a couple of times. I guess you might be interested in getting a Galaxy for that reason. Not something personally that I could see being useful, but whatever. Then, of course, they're still pushing Bixby. So Bixby is going to be part of this phone still. Out of everybody that I know that have a Samsung phone that has Bixby, none of them like it. None of them use it. I don't understand why they're still pushing this. But hey, again, everybody's use case is different. So it's still there if you're wondering. Then they went on to mention video calls and how they partnered up with Google to integrate their Google Duo video chat service right into the software that Samsung has. So, for instance, when you open the dialer, Google Duo's access will be built into the dialer or your text app or whatever that you use with Samsung. I kind of like that you don't have to go into a separate app. Actually, I think that Google itself kind of does this. If you have like a Pixel, I think it's already like that. But again, whenever they mention this video chat, they also mention 5G again and how 5G is going to be a driving force in this video calling. So, I mean, I can't get past this 5G thing and how hard they were pushing it. I don't understand it. So They're also bringing live caption with their partnership with Google. So if you are familiar with Google at all or the Pixel phones, you know that the live caption is something that's been on the Pixel phones for a few months now. And now that's coming to the Galaxy phone. I mean, I guess that's cool. It's a feature that I use from time to time. It is handy. And if you are hearing impaired, it's very useful, obviously, to bring that live caption. So any kind of audio that's being transmitted through the device, the captions will just overlay on top of your screen. And I mean, it is kind of cool that it's coming to different devices. So I expect to see that feature being kind of baked into Android altogether in the future, where every device will have it. But as of right now, it is only going to be on Pixel phones and the Samsung phones. So maybe that's a reason to buy it. I guess if you're hearing impaired and you want more options, there you go. So then they went on to talk about gaming on the phone. Now, this is kind of a big deal, I think. It's weird to me that they partnered with Google on some services, but then they partnered with Microsoft for gaming. So now you have Xbox partnered with Samsung. It's kind of strange, I think. But they're basically going to create, in their words, a exclusive cloud-based gaming service. Now, I don't know if this is like the xCloud that Microsoft already has. It kind of sounds like maybe Samsung is working directly with Microsoft, and maybe they're going to have a second gaming service, maybe just for Samsung S20 users. It's very confusing, very vague. The only game that's available right now that they mentioned was Forza Street. And you can sign up, I guess, to get access right now. So it's not available right now. You're just kind of registering right now. So when it does become available, you can play it. Within the gaming section, they also mentioned that, like I said before, the 120 hertz display, and that all their phones will have up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. So you're obviously going to have different tiers of each device, and that you're going to get something called LPDDR5 chipset, basically saying that it's going to improve gaming on your mobile device. So there's that. I don't get it. I don't understand why they're partnering with Google in some respects when Google has Stadia, and then they're partnering with Microsoft and having a cloud-based gaming service with Microsoft. It's just really confusing to me. Then kind of like the last part of their presentation, they talked about the new Google Buds, or the Galaxy Buds Plus, which is the updated model of their Galaxy Buds, and said that they're going to be available on February 14th at $149. I mean, they are what they are. You get better battery life, improved sound quality, just everything you would expect from an updated earbud. Then they went on to talk about the release date for these new devices. It's going to be on March 6th, and I will put up a screen grab I got of the devices and the prices with those. So you can see those right here. They're actually, the Ultra is surprisingly cheaper than I expected it to be. I honestly thought the Ultra would be closer to $2,000, but the prices are fair, I think. Not a whole lot of difference between the devices. Just even in the Ultra mode, I mean, you get some kind of better camera features, I guess, with the Ultra, but that's about it, really. They didn't specify battery size. Any time during the presentation, they only said all-day battery life. So take that for what it's worth. Anything else about the presentation? I kind of thought it was cheesy overall. They're trying to create a desire for a phone, the Z Flip. I don't know who's going to fall for that, really. I mean, I feel like it's kind of an Apple approach to where they're saying, hey, you're stupid unless you have the Z Flip. And then they create a flagship that doesn't fold. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me how you're going to put out a folding phone and say that only trailblazers or forward-thinking people have the folding phone, but then have a flagship phone that's not a folding phone. It's kind of weird to me that a company would do that. So it's kind of like shooting themselves in the foot, or maybe putting their foot in their mouth. Anyway, that was the event. I don't see any standout feature with this new phone that is going to make me really anxious or create a strong desire to have either of the S20 or the Z Flip. I've checked out the Motorola Razr in person. I wasn't impressed with it. I don't see the Samsung being much different in that regard. I don't see a big reason to have a folding phone. If you've seen MKBHD's video of the Razr, he kind of stresses how the form factor isn't really that useful, really. So it is what it is. I just wanted to make this video because I was hoping that they were going to announce a new Chromebook or talk more about the Galaxy Chromebook, which they did not. They didn't mention the Galaxy Chromebook at all. And I guess that makes sense since how it was just at CES and they talked about it there. But with Samsung Unpacked, I thought maybe that they would kind of shed some light on when it would be available. But there's no information on the Galaxy Chromebook, so that was kind of a bummer. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or if you have an opinion on the new Galaxy line of phones or the Z Flip, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear what other people think about the event or the phone in general. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.